With James Harden being sidelined with an injury, LeBron James struggling, Giannis Antetokounmpo fading away, and Kyrie and the Celtics finally coming down to earth, the MVP race is wide open for newcomers. I've been hearing DeMar DeRozan's name floating around the MVP race and other names that are worth acknowledgement, but no real consideration. With that being said, I've heard a few, but not nearly enough people bring up the leader of the fourth-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves, Jimmy Butler. I would understand why his name isn't being mentioned, because he doesn't amaze you with his numbers like a Harden, a LeBron, Giannis, or leading his team to a top 2 seed like a Kyrie. But he has consistently been an MVP candidate all year, and this is a video dedicated to his season and to wake people up. He recently got traded on draft night to the Minnesota Timberwolves. He's averaging. This is probably the best season of his career. He's averaging 21 to 22 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and connecting on 47% shooting from the field, 35% from 3, 88% from the charity stripe. Being an amazing leader for the Minnesota Timberwolves, being the main man as they are in the fourth seed currently in the Western Conference. The Timberwolves saved Jimmy Butler, who was in a crisis at the time, being a part of the falling ship that was the Chicago Bulls, that were entering rebuilding mode as they lost in the first round in 6 to the Boston Celtics last year. So they decided that their first move to enter the rebuilding phase was to trade Jimmy Butler for young assets. And I would assume Jimmy Butler is excited and glad that trade went down, because he's playing great basketball. The Timberwolves were playing great basketball, and he couldn't ask for a better destination in the situation that he was in. So yeah, that trade worked out good for the Timberwolves and Jimmy Butler especially. And the Bulls, they have a young core now with Chris Dunn. Zach LaVine is looking nice in his few games since his return. So I mean, the Bulls, I don't think they really lost, but I just think the Timberwolves won a little more. So yeah, back to Jimmy Butler. Since the second of this trade, he was Since the second of the trade, he was expected to be the leader for the young Wolves that needed to take the next step to end their playoff drought. It's questionable whether or not the Timberwolves are real title contenders, or if they still are. But they're definitely ready for a playoff run with the incredible pace they're going at, being one of the quiet teams, stringing together a little 5-game win streak. And during that 5-game win streak, they beat good teams like the New Orleans Pelicans, Cleveland Cavaliers, Oklahoma City Thunder, and Portland Trailblazers in convincing fashion, beating each team by at least 15 points or more. Butler has played phenomenal in all those wins. He's been great on both sides of the ball, carrying the ball handling duties while Teague was out in a few games in that stretch, scoring about 20 to 25 points a game, and on the other end being asked to defend LeBron, PG, CJ McCollum, and he's doing it very well. Butler currently has the highest plus minus in the league, behind only Steph Curry and James Harden, who are elite company, of course. The top 5 players in the NBA, in my opinion. If not, they definitely have to be top 5 to 8. And Timberwolves coach and former Chicago Bulls coach who has followed Butler to the Minnesota Timberwolves, has acknowledged the star Jimmy Butler's play by saying this about his play recently. So it's clear and evident that Jimmy Butler is very important to the Minnesota Timberwolves. He has meant a lot for the Timberwolves, who are looking to make the playoffs after 13 years of missing it. And that's a lot of years if you actually think about it. 13 years, a lot of years of not even making the playoffs, not just winning a title, but not even entering the postseason. So they're really glad that they have Jimmy Butler on their team this season, because he has helped them tremendously on both sides of the floor. Has been playing great defense, and Jimmy Butler really hasn't surprised people, or surprised me at least, with his play, because he was always a top 10, if not top 11 player. He was always a great on-ball defender. Then developed a nice, smooth, patient scoring arsenal, I should say. He's a good playmaker, and he just needed to grow as a leader if he was gonna find any success in Minnesota, and he has. Last year in Chicago with Rajon Rondo and Dwayne Wade, he was the most talented by far, but he didn't carry the required leadership qualities to a great team. Either that, or the Bulls were too much of a mess for Butler to even do his thing, because Rondo he's a tough guy he's a tough guy in the locker room, and he's not one to just take a back seat, because he's a really smart basketball player, but he's just not a good locker room guy at times. He's a hothead, much like DeMarcus Cousins and other folks. So but even with that being said, Butler has shown that he maybe lacks some qualities, because there were times where Butler would call out the play of his teammates and how they weren't playing to win, and there's no leaders on his team, although people expected him to be the leader, since Derrick Rose was traded after him falling off because of injuries, unfortunately. So he would call out his teammates after a bad performance by them, not being able to assist him his good performance so that it could result in a win. But now he's more patient with these young guys, and they were struggling earlier in the season, but he has kept his composure with the young Wolves and simply led by example. In their most recent loss to the Orlando Magic, Butler said the Wolves haven't done anything, and they need to be locked in, and they need to be humble. They need to humble themselves, and that's amazing here from Jimmy Butler. And I hope he gets more recognition for his play and his output this season. And in conclusion, as an NBA fan, I just believe now many people are talking about Jimmy Butler, and it's really annoying. But there's so many great players that a few got to go under the radar. He doesn't have the storyline as strong as the Giannis, Kyrie, LeBron, but his amazing play should be enough to at least get him in the top 5 conversation. If he continues this, the Wolves keep finding success, then I think more people will wake up. So with that being said, that's going to be the end of the video. If you watched through the whole video, thank you. That means a lot to me, more than you think. If you like this video, of course, leave a like and support the channel. That'd be much appreciated. Share as much as you can. Comment your thoughts below. I'd love to hear them. And until next time, it's been your boy, and I'm signing out. Peace.